Hi all you beautiful friends. This is another video about milk because I forgot to say a bit more, so I'll just sit down. Come on! The chickens are busy there. So yeah, this is raw milk for healing number 3, because I thought it was good to just touch on what I was saying in the first video all those years ago, because I was mentioning Dr. Charles Stanford Porter, and there are other doctors and healers at that time in the beginning of the 1900s, where there was a lot of different fasting and healing methods that came out because people were starting to get sick. And so this Dr. Charles Stanford Porter, he worked for 40 years with just using milk, and it was mainly raw milk, but there were other healers that actually used pasteurized milk, and they healed people of all these very, very serious diseases. And even cancers he healed. I mean, the gout, all these different coronary artery, heart disease. I can't remember if it was also diabetes, but many different diseases people healed, and people who were overweight, they lost weight, and people who were underweight, they put on weight so that they all reached their normal weight. And I've tried this on my own body, and for me it wasn't the ultimate cure, but it did help me a lot for a period of time. So I was just thinking, how come there's not more people today, in our day and age, who can benefit from this healing method? And what I think, from what I've learned, is that the reason why is simply because we've become insulin resistant. Many of us, because of all the stresses of modern life, because of all the diet that we've had, this very, very inferior diet for so many years, and in all our upbringing, that did not exist then. So people might have been very, very ill, but we're actually more ill now. And we have this metabolic imbalance. And that's why we cannot tolerate all that milk sugar. Because if you're drinking 5, 6, 7 liters of milk a day, you're getting so much sugar. And if you have that metabolic problem, so you're insulin resistant, it is very, very dangerous, really. So, and if you keep doing it, you will become insulin resistant. So I think that's why people can't use that method today, but they could then. Because, I mean, I think, why should he lie? And there's many others who've used raw milk for healing all these different illnesses. So, yeah, so most of us cannot use that method anymore because of the way things have become in our bodies. But using milk as a part of your healing program, I think is very, very, very wonderful if you can. So that was just a little thing about healing, those amazing stories of healing with raw milk. And yeah, I can just also touch on, because many of us can say about the primal eating as the hunter-gatherers. The hunter-gatherers didn't have milk. I mean, we're pretty sure if they did have any milk, it was very, very small amounts. But they would have seen it in the udder when they killed an animal who was giving milk. They would have seen the milk, and they probably would have tasted the milk. But they weren't producing milk until about 10,000 years ago. And so we can really, we can say, well, that is not a natural food for man, because it's so recent when we started to use milk. And so we can put it alongside grain, because man has not had grain either. But I think there is a difference, because milk is the liquid is a product from an animal, that makes milk different, because grains are not a product from an animal. And it is very similar, like, so milk. So it's very funny, really, because urine and milk and blood are all very, very similar. They all have all these, I mean, hundreds or thousands of nutrients, all these different nutrients that we can more or less live off. You can live off urine, and you can live off milk, and you can probably also live off drinking blood, because it's got all the nutrients you need, and it's from an animal. So it is very, and also milk it's very close to meat also, which has been the original food. So although some of us are reacting to milk, and that milk can create allergies, and some are very serious for us, this is very much linked to the way we have treated milk. So milk, because of all the pasteurization and all this, I think it's very much linked to that, and so the human body started reacting to milk. But there's the whole story of producing, what's it called? Lactic acid. No, wait a sec. The lactose digesting enzyme, which some people, especially the Asian people, don't have. It's not called lactic acid. It's called It's this enzyme that the people who have been in cultures where there has been milk drinking and the use of milk products, we have the ability to digest milk, fresh milk. And so it was the people who could digest the milk who were the strongest, and the other people really more or less died off. And so that's the way it spread very quickly all around the earth, that we were able to digest milk. It spread very, very quickly. But man realized that having the fermented milk was much better for their body. Having all that sugar was not good, and also because they couldn't keep the milk for very long, so there was much more fermented, just processed milk products available. So, but for the body, usually it is best to have the fermented milk, and just small amounts of the fresh milk. So, yeah, and some of you have asked about having goats, and we've had goats before, but I think goats are very difficult to keep. If you don't have very good fencing, they're going to run over everywhere, and they eat all little shrubs and trees. So the whole farm was more or less, everything was just eaten from. So yeah, it was not so good. I like to have these little bushes and all these big fences you had to have. So that was a bit too much. And also, the goat is a more nervous animal. I just love the calmness of a cow, and sheep are also different. And goat's milk, I think, is really, really good if you like it. I don't like the taste of it very much. And what I find, with the goats we had, they can produce a bit. It all depends on, also, the taste of the milk depends on what they're eating. So, but apparently goat's milk is lacking K2 vitamin and some other, a vitamin, I think B12, it's lacking. So you have to supplement. But cow's milk does not have that. Cow's milk has everything you need. And that's just so fascinating, I think. But some say that the reason why goat's milk is easier for humans to digest is because the molecules of the milk are smaller. And it is because it comes from a smaller animal. And the whole idea of a goat is more or less like a human. A big goat is the same size, more or less, as a human. And so that's why the goat's milk suits the human body better. And apparently goat's milk is always A2, the A2 milk. Yeah. But I just love the taste of cow's milk, and yeah. So, but it's if you really want milk and you can't have cow's milk, it's really a good idea to look into having goat's milk. And some people, some farmers can produce goat's milk that's very mild. So yeah, the chickens are happy. Yeah. So that was a little raw milk for healing. The last video I wanted to make. Maybe there's more coming, but I think it's good to have a look at why were things the way they were, and why are things the way they are now. So yeah, and we are all changing also. Our bodies are morphing because we're creating this new world of love. So it's not all physical what's going on. We change, our bodily structure is changing a lot. So there's many aspects to this. But finding the food that really suits your body and makes you feel wonderful and tastes lovely and that you really enjoy, it's so good. So take care, my friend, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah, my friend.